What is up, fishing fam? It's your boy Luis, or that boy Segoy on the gram. Today, we are going to be talking about the Beeble. And not just the Beeble, but also the ChiBeeble. Yep. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
Not today. Oh shit. That's a good one. Fuck yeah, dude, a Beeble! Shit. Solid Beeble fish. That's a good one. Go right into the net, son.
Little Beeble. ChiBeeble fish. Little guy on the ChiBeeble. All the way to the bottom. And like as it's helicoptering down, since it's spinning, it really calls fish in from every direction.
Right.
You know, it's not like thumping in one way. So like the helicopter action calls fish in from 360.
From 360, like instant 360.
Yeah. And then you just reel it in.
And then they eat it.
Yeah.
Right. There's no way in hell.
I told you. It's not easy. That's the Beeble lesson for you, Mr. King. All right, Jeff. So as I was saying, the Beeble, absolutely amazing spinnerbait. Pretty easy. Even a beginner like you could throw something so simple as this.
Well, thank you for the tips.
Alrighty, so the Beeble, where do we put this at? Is it a finesse spinnerbait? Is it a regular spinnerbait? You know, Jeff asked me that last night. What do you say, Jeff?
The Beeble reminds me of the SV3 spinnerbait. A small, compact spinnerbait. However, it can handle big old stinky bass.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we have here.
And that's what I like about it too, right? So that's actually one of my favorite spinnerbaits is the SV3. I kind of put that a little bit heavier duty than this guy. So this has replaced a lot of the bulk of the spinnerbaits that I'm throwing that are kind of on the lighter side without going to an actual small, you know, even lighter wire finesse spinnerbait. So like other ones I liked were like the V9 and the high pitcher and stuff like that. So this kind of, like I said, is like right in between there somewhere, right? So you're getting that real light wire pulse vibration from like you would get on some of those smaller ones. But what's sick is you're getting a little bit of reinforcement with this front blade, right? That it kind of allows you to fish it around some heavier stuff and get away with fishing it on some heavier line, right? To go around that stuff, you know? So that's kind of where I've found this place for this bait, right? Is when I'm kind of wanting to go a little finessier, but I still need to fish it on some heavier gear to get these fish out of cover. That's the regular one, the regular Beeble anyways, right? It comes in at 3/8 and ½ ounce size, right? And we all know this little blade in the front is kind of the magic of this bait. Like we all know about this, right? It gives it that little chatter, which sets this apart from any other spinnerbait. Well, as I mentioned, you know, the added bonus is the reinforcement. So you're getting a little extra beefiness to the bait. And I found that this bait does best in like these transition months or like these times, you know, when it's been cold and it's warming up, or it's been warm and it's cooling down. So like kind of like when you would reach for like a tandem willow or something like that, you know. Or I mean, there is a tandem willow version of this if you want to go extra slow, but kind of a little slower, you know, is when this is like really getting bit for me, right? It's kind of funny because I took this bait out. I had it for a while actually, and I was throwing it with like a little small paddle tail, and I just didn't get bit on it, right? And one day I popped that off. I'd thrown it a handful of times and I popped it off and just threw some kind of like a little, you know, end of a Senko, or like just a spike, you know, just something, the end of a bait, you know, any kind of plastic really, just something to take up a little bit of the hook. I mean, a lot of people throw spinnerbaits without any trailer, but I mean, for me, it's just kind of like it needs, like I don't feel like it's complete without a trailer. Like, I mean, you don't throw a swim jig, you don't throw a regular jig or a chatterbait without a trailer, right? So in my mind, I'm like, it's got to have a trailer. So when I'm picking one of those, I guess that the thump from the paddle tail or something, right, was not, I don't know, something about that, you know, the fish didn't like. Anyways, first time I swapped the trailers out, put like that little spike on there, I was getting bit. And ever since then, this is a go-to spinner for me. I've caught so many big fish on this, and that's, I mean, like I said, like you got this for the reinforcement, and I mean, you know, if you guys fish a spinnerbait, you know, you catch a couple good-sized fish, right? And you're horsing them in, or if you're fishing them around cover, right? You bring them in, and after you bend your bait back a couple times, at least me, I'm worried that, you know, how many more times am I going to get to bend it back before I just reel in the blades and, you know, or I break off on a fish or something like that, right? That added lifespan, right, to a wired bait is pretty unique to this. I mean, typically catch a couple like 4 or 5 pound fish on a spinnerbait and it's kind of done. This size anyways. And I mean, I can't tell you how many, I've caught at least a half dozen or more fish over 4 or 5 pounds on this guy right here. You can see it's a little bent, right? But I've got a lot of, definitely got my money's worth on this guy. It's just caught a ton of fish and it's still holding up, you know, it's still going strong. And like I said, a trailer, I don't really get that into it. I just kind of have some kind of like, you know, like a little Sakamata I like to run, like a 4-inch. That's a good one. Or just like the end of a Senko, like I got on this guy here. So just something like that, like I said, just to take up the bulk of that. When you need to throw a bait, or when you need to present it a little bit more finessey, they also have the ChiBeeble, which I've been throwing around a lot lately. Been hitting some of these smaller waters. That's what's going off right now for us, is actually bitey. So the forage is quite a bit smaller, right? And you know, you don't have such large bait balls and all that, right? Just a smaller presentation, a little bit more vibration, right? To kind of have it stand out from some of this bigger stuff that other guys are throwing in these smaller waters, and even just more pressured waters in general too. This bait I think really excels in those type of applications, right? And I mean, that's just the smaller version, like I said, the ChiBeeble. This bait's pretty sick because, like I said, I've been able to take it to a lot of these smaller places and it's done well. This is one I take shore fishing a lot. Like I said, it's something I can throw that's, I want to get as finessey as I can in some of these like really pressured areas, but you know, like some of these spinnerbaits are just real loud and stuff, and this is something I can throw that's relatively quiet. I can work it really slow, you know, with that front blade, get that tandem if I feel like I really need it, and pick apart some of these, you know, spots from shore, you know, where I'm kind of more limited. And the bait has a pretty good fall too, right? I mean, not every spinnerbait kind of activates on the way down, but it's got a, you know, these blades get going on the fall too. So that's another thing that's kind of sick about this bait. All right, one little thing I just want to point out that I do, like a lot of times when I'm throwing stuff through a lot of cover, and just when I'm running stuff. I mean, I think I've mentioned this before with other baits, but specifically with like a spinnerbait, the trailer, you know, running it through a lot more things and stuff like that. And you know, like a jig, you kind of just pull it through. It's a little more gentle, right? This one, you're kind of like you're burning it through or ripping it through. So the trailer kind of gets pulled on a lot more. So one of the things I like to do is I just put a little bit of some mono, like some thick mono, or just like a little paper clip, piece of a paper clip, and then some shrink tube. Just make a little keeper on there. And Decoy makes some pretty dope shrink tubing that we carry. That's typically what I go to for a lot of that stuff. And I mean, I'll use that for swim jigs and chatterbaits, other bladed jigs, and you know, just anything you throw a trailer on pretty much. It's good way to keep your plastics life a little bit longer. And sometimes, you know, the bait keeper on there is just not right. Like sometimes I'm not a big fan of some of those wire ones, so you know, some of these plastics are really soft and it just kind of pulls through. So putting your own bait keeper on there can sometimes be better than that. So alrighty, so I was throwing it on the Beeble on mostly this combo here, and that's the Frogman and the Zillion. And I know you're saying, Luis, it's the Frogman. That's not a frog you're throwing. Oh, it was actually this guy who said it. Jeffrey, the king himself. You know, that is right. It is not a frog. It isn't a frog. You're right, Jeff. But, you know, it works good for this because, like I said before, swim jig and like buzz bait, a lot of these other baits you're moving and you kind of need that little bit of that tip, right? So the fish can eat it good, right? Spinnerbait, chatterbait, that type of thing, right? You know, you want a little bit of a tip so that fish can eat it and you're not pulling it out of their mouth. And then you can be like, oh, you know, fish is on, boom, crack them. Well, this rod is perfect for that because then you have the backbone, right, to kind of pull them out of the cover and whatnot. And I'm always, like I said, I'm always finding new applications for this rod. I can never say enough good things about the Frogman. And then I'm just running that with like 16 to 20 pound leader, you know, somewhere around there. Alrighty, and the other combo I was throwing the ChiBeeble on is the Rapid Viper, the new Orochi X10. And this rod is super sick for this. This is kind of a new setup for me. I got that paired with the Silver Wolf. So I kind of needed something to throw a little bit smaller spinnerbaits, like a smaller crankbait, like a tiny blitz, Z3, stuff like that. And like a blade bait, right? That all throws on this rod amazing, right? The spinnerbait has been like really impressive to me. The rod's fairly light, you know, it's an F3, so definitely on the lighter end of the Megabass rating there. And like, I wouldn't be fishing this around, you know, the heaviest of cover and stuff like that, but I like the lightness and the feedback that you're getting, right? I'm getting all the pulse and like the little clicking and stuff, right? And then I can feel, you know, when I'm hitting, you know, I'm getting tick, 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 oh, I hit tree, tick, 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 you know, oh, I'm running ground or rock or whatever. So this rod's actually been really impressive to me on that end, right? I mostly run the Gladiator Antes, but this has been a really sick combo. Alrighty, guys, so that was the Beeble and the ChiBeeble. And as you can see, you know, I do very well with this bait. This bait, like I said, I have so much confidence in this bait, a lot of luck with it. It's, like I said, it's taken place of a couple of these other spinnerbaits that I typically reach for. And I think if you guys give it a try, if you already haven't, like I said, you guys eat it up. So if you already haven't, I highly suggest you guys give it a run in your local waters. It's done really well for me. Jeff's gonna leave a link with all the stuff we talked about today. And if you guys need any other questions answered, you can hit me on the gram. That's gonna wrap it up. So get out there and stick yourself a nice fish. Good luck.